Welcome to the 16th season of the NitWits, a weekly roundtable discussion on the Penn State Nittany Lions. Our panel includes Neil Riddell of the Altoona Mirror, Mark Brennan of FightOnState.com, Sports Director Casey Kantz of WTAJ Sports, and a special guest analyst each week. The NitWits are brought to you by Irwin Financial Raymond James, an independent firm and firm foundation for your financial future. Coldwell Banker, no one will work harder to sell your home. By Doctors Howells and Reed, orthodontics for children and adults. By Pacifico's Bakery, genuine Italian bread and rolls for your tailgating needs. By Fiore True Value on 6th Avenue in Altoona, just ask rental. By the Altoona Professional Hearing Aid Center, your hearing aid healthcare professional. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your cleaning needs. By your rehab choice, Health South of Altoona. Ask for us by name. By J&P Auto, home of the $1,000 push, pull, or tow. By Courtesy Motors of Altoona, where courtesy means a great deal. By the Allegro, where fine cuisine is a way of life. By EasyToUse.com, your Yellow Pages connection in print and online. By FightOnState.com, as close as you get to Penn State football without putting on a helmet. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State game day every Friday.
But we got a long way to go. It's just one. We're just trying to win the day. We won today. We're grateful for that. We're just going to try to do a good job reviewing it tomorrow as a staff and then get the guys back and start getting ready for Eastern Michigan on Monday.
Bill O'Brien talking about Penn State's opening day win Saturday over Syracuse, 23-17. Begins the season 1-0 for the first time in his head coaching career. Welcome inside the NitWits. The panel all here for another week. Neil Riddell, Mike Irwin, and Mark Brennan. And let's start right at the top, fellas, as we break this thing down. We had heard reports Friday night, multiple reports saying Christian Hackenberg would get the start Saturday against Syracuse. That indeed was the case. 22 of 31 for 278 yards. He had the 2 touchdowns, also had the 2 interceptions. Initial impressions of a true freshman's first Division I game, albeit in an environment like that.
Yeah, you know, my thought is kind of Hackenberg epitomized what the team went through. You had a guy who didn't play perfect football, but I think overall, you know, looked pretty good, all things considered. Penn State as a team overcame mistakes. Hackenberg as a quarterback overcame mistakes, looked poised when the game was on the line. I don't know about you guys, but I never got the sense that they were going to lose that game. I thought once they kind of got the lead that they were looking pretty good, and I thought that kid was poised and did a really nice job and proved why Bill O'Brien picked him as a starting QB.
I agree. Never really put it away, Neil, but I never really had the sense that they were going to lose that football game.
I thought he got stronger as the game went on, and I think to Bill O'Brien's credit, he admitted that he really had a bad play call. I think, you know, in that situation, you punted away. Your defense played really, really well throughout the game, and I think they would have been able to have a 2-score win. But this is Bill O'Brien's an aggressive coach, but I was really impressed with, and especially when they got Robinson back, how much Hackenberg seemed to be comfortable in his feet and the poise that he showed throughout the day.
Yeah, I look at our team on Saturday was one-dimensional. I mean, Hackenberg had a good game, but we weren't able to run the ball on Saturday. So I thought the offensive line, I'm not sure, you know, it's the first game of the year, whether Syracuse was that good or Penn State's that bad, but I thought the offensive line play against the Syracuse defense was very questionable because we couldn't run the ball at all. And I mean, if it wasn't for Hackenberg, I don't even think we're in the game.
And that's interesting, too. I thought the same thing about the offensive line. At times, a veteran group of guys you expect a lot of out of this year didn't really protect Christian all that much. And to Mike's point about the run game, there wasn't much of that either.
Well, I think it was pretty obvious. If you watched the replay of that or still frames of what was going on, it sure seemed to me as if they were stacking the box and trying to say, listen, we're going to make this freshman quarterback beat us. So they were not going to allow the running game to get it done. And I think that's one of the reasons we didn't see Akeel Lynch. I think they needed Zwinak and Belton in there because those guys are probably better blockers at this point. But you know, Syracuse sold out, in my view, to stop the run, and I think ultimately that was good for Penn State because that's going to be, people are going to think, listen, you have a rookie quarterback, let's try to rattle him. And I would say, as tough as that interception was late, I think in the long term, because they had to grit that out, it's going to be better for the team. And I'm not just looking at this through blue and white glasses. I really do think that the fact that they came up with stops late in the game was big.
Take a look at some of the
You
stat
wonder
line.
about one thing, like they haven't been playing live scrimmages, they were playing thud, and you wonder, like the offensive line are just firing into people but not really driving them out of there. You wonder if not full scrimmages might not hurt their offensive line play. I mean,
Well, you know, you have to give ground when you have this kind of sanctions you're under, and you have to make some decisions. They ended up, unfortunately, still losing a couple players in this first game. Valuable players. You know, Lehman will find out a little bit more this week. That didn't look good. Hull seemed to be injured without a lot of contact.
Yeah. We talked about Christian Hackenberg a little bit. We had the numbers up there on the screen for you. I want to talk a little bit about Tyler Ferguson, too, because it was a battle all camp long. Bill O'Brien saying afterwards the decision apparently had come down a couple weeks ago, but Tyler Ferguson did see some time as well, saw one series, did have that fumble. Not sure what the quarterback situation was going to be moving forward, but you have to assume Ferguson didn't help his chances with that fumble right there.
Yeah, you kind of feel bad for the kid.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, he went in. O'Brien said that Ferguson was going to get, what was it, the third series? And to go in and have that sort of, you know, miscue is difficult, because I think once that happened, Hackenberg was playing so well overall that it was kind of difficult to take him out. I don't think it would have made a whole lot of sense for them to take him out at that point. So, you know, you're given the opportunity. Hackenberg comes out, completes his first 6 passes. Ferguson struggles a little bit. We'll see if this is going to continue to be, you know, if they're going to continue to give him shots as the season goes on.
If it would have been a more lopsided game, maybe you would have seen him. I mean, he said he was going to play the third series. I wonder whether possibly going forward this week maybe might be another opportunity, not necessarily early. And I also wonder, had he not fumbled, whether he would have gotten another
That's
series.
kind of what I meant, yeah. Mike, how about the – go ahead. Yeah.
no, I was just going to say he did make one nice play. He threw the ball over the middle. And I think next week when they go against Eastern Michigan, you might see a little bit more of him, because you don't want to lose a kid at that. I mean, the first game of the year and they were battling for quarterback, you'd hate to lose them now. So I think O'Brien should play him against Eastern Michigan just to let the kid back in there and rebuild his confidence. I mean,
Well, I think he has to, though, doesn't he? I mean, if they get in any of these games where they get leads, I mean, they have to have both guys kind of ready to go, because I mean, it's a cliche in football, but you're one snap away from having.
But
to
that
rely on
wasn't
that
the case last year. Maybe because he wasn't that comfortable with Stephen Bench.
One guy was so much better.
And so you have to think. I mean, you saw it yesterday. You know, people can be vulnerable to injuries. Hackenberg stood in the pocket pretty tough and took some shots.
Yeah. Quick mention on Allen Robinson, too. Didn't play in the first half, a coach's decision there, but I want to mention him because the first 2 times he touched the football in the second half, I mean, this kid's pretty fantastic. The reigning Big Ten receiver of the year, Neil.
Yeah, you could tell that Hackenberg was comfortable. Gives them a vertical game that they didn't really have in the first half. They were really dumping the ball off east-west, and Robinson made a big difference.
How about O'Brien, though? Holds the guy out, presumably for disciplinary reasons. I mean, I think it's fair to say that. But they bring him back, and they go to him the first 2 plays of the second half, and wow. I mean, if there's any doubt about who the best receiver in the Big Ten is, that
well,
pretty
he
much
might
ended
be
it.
the best receiver in the country. I mean,
Yeah, he's good.
You know, I mean, he's really good. And I think the opportunity to play on national TV at MetLife Stadium and displaying that in the second half, the first 2 plays he gets the ball, 25 yards, and another, 55 or whatever it was in the second.
A little
You know,
classier than the other
unfortunately,
star who was held out for a first half, wasn't he? A little bit more class from Allen Robinson out there in that game than Johnny Football.
Manziel. Yeah. Unfortunately, Robinson fumbled on what might have been Hackenberg's best pass of the day. Really hit a nice slant, and that was a big play. And get credit Gary Gilliam.
Well, we're going to talk about Gary Gilliam coming up a little bit later, because that was a heck of a tackle. Might have been probably a game-saving tackle, I guess you could say, because they won by 6 points, definitely. We're just getting started on this week 1 edition of the Nitwits. When we come back, we'll talk a little defense. A couple guys really stood out on Saturday. We'll tell you who coming up next.
The Nitwits are brought to you by Irwin Financial Raymond James, an independent firm and firm foundation for your financial future. Coldwell Banker, no one will work harder to sell your home. By Doctors Howells and Reed, orthodontics for children and adults. By Pacifico's Bakery, genuine Italian bread and rolls for your tailgating needs. By Fiore True Value on 6th Avenue in Altoona, just ask rental.
I'm head football coach Bill O'Brien of the Penn State Nittany Lions. And you're watching the NitWits.
Thanks a lot, Coach. Welcome back to Week 1, our Week 1 edition of the NitWits. Penn State 1-0 after Saturday's 23-17 win over Syracuse at MetLife Stadium. Talked a bit about the offense in the first block. Let's now talk some defense because they had to come up big on Saturday. They weren't flawless, but they did come up big. And you want to talk about a couple coming out parties, if you will. Stephen Obeng-Ajapong, for one, who played so many positions. Throughout camp, he was obviously taking some reps at linebacker. He played linebacker on Saturday and did a fantastic job. DeQuan Jones as well.
Yeah, I mean, Obeng, the fact that I think he kind of personifies what a lot of this team has been about. This is a guy who has started some, has been a backup, but clearly willing to do whatever it takes. And if it comes to playing linebacker, he's going to do it. He said, I asked him after the game, when did they approach you? And it was like, kind of early in camp, and he wasn't really for it. But then he realized, listen, if it could help the team, great. And he got out there when Hull was injured and did a great job, all things considered.
I mean, 8 tackles. He forced a fumble. He recovered a fumble. He had an interception. Blitzed. I mean, he looked fantastic. What I thought was cool about his game is last year in the opener, he dropped a key interception against Ohio U that sort of opened the floodgates for Ohio U. And here, against a similar opponent, he was able to
New York City kid, too.
Yeah,
How
from the
cool
Bronx,
is that?
definitely.
This is probably the most athletic defensive backfield they've had in some years. I mean,
since you were there, Mike.
Well, we had a pretty good one. I was going to say that, but I'll hold
You
back
don't
on
have
that.
to. I get it.
No, but those two
This is where we
sophomores
cut
on
to
the
Mike's
corners-
video from 66.
2 sophomores on the quarter, Lucas and
They go way
Williams
back
played
to the
well.
Yeah.
The only mistake they made to Willis, let that guy get behind him down the middle, but he responded after that. But I think man-on-man coverage, they're playing as well as they ever have down there. And they have a lot of potential on that defensive side of the ball.
Both those corners had not started a game.
Obeng had the big day. Jones had 9 tackles, 8 of which were solo. 3 went for a loss. Let's hear from Obeng-Ajapong and Jones right now.
Compared to the past, I mean, I feel like, I haven't done as much as I've done. Linebacker, safety. In high school, I played primarily safety. On the offensive side, I played primarily running back. But, from the defensive aspect of it, I haven't played that many positions before.
High school, probably. I mean, not in college, no. And it felt good to go out there and just, play my game how I want to play, while getting tired. So I felt really good out there today.
And I've brought it up a couple times. I know you guys have too. When you ask a guy like Stephen Obeng-Ajapong to take reps at a linebacker spot when he's primarily played in the safety spot or defensive back in the past, I mean that can't be easy. It wasn't just a game where he had to fill in on Saturday. It was a game where he filled in at a couple different positions and had a heck of a day too.
Yeah, but how about Glenn Carson? They were pulling him out of pass defense situations early, and then later in the game, he made a couple key deflections. I thought he played a strong game.
Well, they needed him out there. And, you talked about DeQuan Jones. This is a guy who's been a complimentary player his whole life behind the Audricks and not behind, but alongside Jordan Hill. This was an opportunity for this guy to step up as a player and a leader, and boy, did he do it in that game.
Yeah, the other guy that I think is going to come around is a freshman, Austin Johnson.
Yeah, he's good.
I mean, he's a big kid, and I think he's strong. I mean, Jones was outstanding, and I thought that early in the year that he would be outstanding, and he proved it to everybody yesterday. I think he's an NFL player later on.
DeQuan Jones, I mean, he absolutely blew up that one play yesterday, or on Saturday, I should say. Also, this is the new fight on State. You got a couple of the starting cornerbacks here, Trevor Williams and Jordan Lucas, who looked to have big years.
I was glad they played well. I was glad they played well because it's just
they
in
were
the
your 2
newsstands.
picks for your
Karma.
Yeah, that's you know what, they have not had bigger cornerbacks by and large. I mean, they've had a few, but these 2 guys are big and they're athletic and they're playmakers. I think this streak of a Penn State DB not scoring a TD forever is going to end this year.
They have playmakers on both sides of the ball this year, which is nice to see because you got a lot of good defensive backs. But even look at those receivers with Robinson and Felder and Kenny, and I mean some of those guys can make big play. Lewis, who made a big play on Saturday. So I think they have a lot of skilled people that are really athletic, and it's going to be fun to watch them the rest of the year.
It was interesting. I mean, they get 19 receptions to their wideouts. It's a big number for them.
Compared to last year,
compared to any year. But just 4 to the tight end. So they kind of adjusted because they took away the running game and they took away the tight end.
Guys, got to take another break. When we come back, we'll give you some a couple unsung heroes, if you will. We have a couple to talk about from Saturday's win. That's next. Stay with us.
Williams, and you're watching NitWits.
Nice. Former Penn State receiver Derek Williams there, bringing us back to a Week 1 wrap-up of the Nitwits. After that dreadful outing in Week 2 of last season for Sam Ficken, he looks to maybe have turned a corner. Sam going 3 for 3 in Saturday's win, including nailing a career-long 46-yarder. That one counted for his 13th straight. And excuse the cliche or the pun or whatever you sticking with Ficken, I think is
kicking with Ficken.
Kicking with Ficken, sticking with Ficken. Well, you have to stick with him after
okay.
last year. I mean, and it seems like his confidence. It's different for a kicker. Obviously, you know, you could go downhill just as quick as you go uphill, but he looks to really.
Well, you know, he worked a lot with Robbie Gould, who kicks for the Bears, and I think he got his mental game together now. And it was great to see him come back last year against Wisconsin, and then yesterday for those 3 kicks that he made, 2 35-yarders and a 46-yarder.
One was a little knuckleball.
Yeah, one he kind of
went through. He had some nice-looking kicks last year that missed. So.
Yeah, good
like
point.
One of Neil's drives in golf.
Yeah.
Although those don't go straight.
Plus, he kicked off well. I thought the whole special teams, you talk about unsung heroes.
Yeah.
Jesse Della Valle broke a big punt return, and I thought they covered reasonably well. They faked a field goal. They had a number of good moments on the special teams.
Yeah, his kicks being deep. I mean, I think they only returned 1 kick, you know, and so there's 2 kicks. Okay, Brennan's giving me the 2 sign. You know that.
I'm glad I didn't give you the 1. Sorry, it would be this one. It'd be your number 1, though, Mike. Your number 1.
I wish it was the right figure with it, number 1. You know.
Sorry.
Speaking of unsung heroes,
maybe we got to go to a break.
Yeah, maybe get ready with the bleep button or one of those little things that blurs out everything, whatever. But Gary Gilliam, you mentioned earlier in the show too. He would be another unsung hero because it was a 6-point win. And this tackle you're going to see coming off the Allen Robinson fumble, Gary Gilliam was a converted tight end. He packed on a ton of weight. What's he? He's a 300, over 300.
303.
Yeah, I mean, a huge tackle right here to save a touchdown.
Yeah, and he's a guy who was a defensive end back in high school and when he came to Penn State, and clearly he's another guy who's done whatever it takes for the team. I'll throw out one other unsung hero. How about John Butler? First game as defensive coordinator. There were some breakdowns here and there, but overall that unit came out really strong, especially when the game was on the line.
All right, guys, the home opener up next against Eastern Michigan. Of course, we've got our picks waiting for you. Mike, you want to give us a hint of what yours is? No?
Yeah, I'll give you a hint. It might be Penn State. The spread is what you'll be interested in.
We've got to crown a Week 1 Nitwit of the Week, too. Stay with us.
The Nitwits are brought to you by the Altoona Professional Hearing Aid Center, your hearing aid healthcare professional. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your cleaning needs. By your rehab choice, Health South of Altoona. Ask for us by name. By J&P Auto, home of the $1,000 push, pull, or tow. By Courtesy Motors of Altoona, where courtesy means a great deal.
Derek Williams, and you're watching NitWits.
Oh, nice. Former Penn State receiver Derek Williams there, bringing us back to a Week 1 wrap-up of the Nitwits. After that dreadful outing in Week 2 of last season for Sam Ficken, he looks to maybe have turned a corner. Sam going 3 for 3 in Saturday's win, including nailing a career-long 46-yarder. That one counted for his 13th straight. And excuse the cliche or the pun or whatever you sticking with Ficken, I think is
kicking with Ficken.
Kicking with Ficken, sticking with Ficken. Well, you have to stick with him after of last year. I mean, and it seems like his confidence. It's different for a kicker. Obviously, you know, you could go downhill just as quick as you go uphill, but he looks to really.
Well, you know, he worked a lot with Robbie Gould, who kicks for the Bears, and I think he got his mental game together now. And it was great to see him come back last year against Wisconsin, and then yesterday for those 3 kicks that he made, 2 35-yarders and a 46-yarder.
One was a little knuckleball.
Yeah, one he kind of
went through. He had some nice-looking kicks last year that missed. So.
Yeah, good
like
point.
One of Neil's drives in golf.
Yeah.
Although those don't go straight.
Plus, he kicked off well. I thought the whole special teams, you talk about unsung heroes.
Yeah.
Jesse Della Valle broke a big punt return, and I thought they covered reasonably well. They faked a field goal. They had a number of good moments on the special teams.
Yeah, his kicks being deep. I mean, I think they only returned 1 kick, you know, and so there's 2 kicks. Okay, Brennan's giving me the 2 sign. You know that.
I'm glad I didn't give you the 1. Sorry, it would be this one. It'd be your number 1, though, Mike. Your number 1.
I wish it was the right figure with it, number 1. You know.
Sorry.
Speaking of unsung heroes,
Maybe
too.
we got to go to a break.
Yeah, maybe. Get ready with the bleep button or one of those little things that blurs out everything, whatever. But Gary Gilliam, you mentioned earlier in the show, too. He would be another unsung hero because it was a 6-point win. And this tackle you're going to see coming off the Allen Robinson fumble, Gary Gilliam was a converted tight end. He packed on a ton of weight. What's he? He's a 300, over 300.
303, yeah.
I mean, a huge tackle right here to save a touchdown.
Yeah, and he's a guy who was a defensive end back in high school and when he came to Penn State, and clearly he's another guy who's done whatever it takes for the team. I'll throw out one other unsung hero. How about John Butler? First game as defensive coordinator. There were some breakdowns here and there, but overall that unit came out really strong, especially when the game was on the line.
All right, guys, the home opener up next against Eastern Michigan. Of course, we've got our picks waiting for you. Mike, you want to give us a hint of what yours is? No?
Yeah, I'll give you a hint. It might be Penn State. The spread is what you'll be interested in.
We've got to crown a Week 1 Nitwit of the Week, too. Stay with us.
The Nitwits are brought to you by The Allegro, where fine cuisine is a way of life. By EasyToUse.com, your Yellow Pages connection in print and online. By FightOnState.com, as close as you get to Penn State football without putting on a helmet. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State game day every Friday.
I'm Glenn Carson from your Nittany Lions, and you're watching the Nitwits.
Thank you much, Glenn. All right, Eastern Michigan up next, the home opener at Beaver Stadium coming up this week. Guys, thoughts on that? Maybe a pick if we can as well.
Well, first of all, congratulations, Casey. I think you're the first host to be the first Nitwit of the Week.
I thought I was the first. I thought last week.
Oh, were you?
Or last year, I mean. But then
And then he didn't win one the rest of the
year.
year.
I crumbled down the stretch, obviously.
You know,
he was number one.
is unbearable. I mean, you're so humble in this win.
Just say
First
thanks.
time you've been Nitwit of the Week for a long time.
Tough enough for the rest of us to take.
And it's going to fade out. You guys always find a way to come through at the end. But
you know, I looked at yesterday, and I think a lot of these games are going to be, you know, maybe not necessarily. Penn State may not overpower that many teams because of their lack of depth and vulnerability to injury at times. But I kind of get the idea that this will be one of those. Penn State's a 27-point favorite, so I'm going to go Penn State 42, Eastern Michigan 13.
Oh my,
that's tough for me. I was right around that number, but maybe I'll do some squeezing. I will go 46-17. Penn State's going to get back running the ball really strong. I think you're going to see all three running backs have a good game. It's important for this team to get the running game going. Listen, the passing game can only take you so far, and I think they'll do it against this team this week.
I might as well raise the ante a little bit. I was going to go 40-0, but now I'm going to go. I think I'll try 42-0. You know,
what was your record again this year? Your final record?
Well, I'll tell you, I was only a touchdown away this weekend.
12-0.
It was 23-10, if you remember. And all that Penn State had to do is score one more touchdown, and then they lost the ball. So I would have been in the ball game. You know, I had to score, but the Penn State didn't follow through.
Cool. We were all in it till the very end this week. So.
I needed like a safety, I think, or something.
I think of this non-conference schedule, this may be the most negotiable opponent. Didn't they just struggle with Howard?
Yeah, and that's if we talk long enough, Casey won't get a pick. So that's the
whole
idea here.
I'm going to piggyback the running back talk because Zach Swinak showed a couple signs on Saturday really breaking it. That guy just does not go down. I think the offense comes alive. I'm going to go a little low, though. 30-13, Penn State wins it. That wraps up the Week 1 edition of the Nitwits. For the panel, I'm Casey Kantz. We'll see you next week.
The Nitwits have been brought to you by Irwin Financial Raymond James, an independent firm and firm foundation for your financial future. Coldwell Banker, no one will work harder to sell your home. By Doctors Howells and Reed, orthodontics for children and adults. By Pacifico's Bakery, genuine Italian bread and rolls for your tailgating needs. By Fiore True Value on 6th Avenue in Altoona, just ask rental. By the Altoona Professional Hearing Aid Center, your hearing aid healthcare professional. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your cleaning needs. By your rehab choice, Health South of Altoona, ask for us by name. By J&P Auto, home of the $1,000 push, pull, or tow. By Courtesy Motors of Altoona, where courtesy means a great deal. By the Allegro, where fine cuisine is a way of life. By EasyToUse.com, your Yellow Pages connection in print and online. By FightOnState.com, as close as you get to Penn State football without putting on a helmet. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State game day every Friday. You can also see the NitWits on AltoonaMirror.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.